Pokemon games are fun, but they're known for being pretty easy. What if we took a Pokemon game and made it much harder by changing the Pokemon each gym leader has and improving their AI to make each fight that much more difficult? That's where Pokemon Sacred Gold, an enhanced, harder version of Pokemon Heart Gold made by Drayano, comes in. Now, I'm no stranger to Nuzlocke, which is where if a Pokemon faints, you can't use it in battle again, it can only catch one Pokemon for each area, or even hardcore Nuzlocke, which don't even allow you to use items like potions in battle. But today, we'll be telling the story of how I attempted the hardest Pokemon Heart Gold hardcore Nuzlocke. Chapter 1, Just Getting Started. Our story begins on a typical Thursday night. I load up Sacred Gold for my third attempt, and you know what they say, third time's the charm, so this will be the first good run. My first two runs couldn't even get through Bugsy, so this time I picked Cyndaquil and named it Doritos Locos Taco to go with our Taco Bell menu item theme. Seeing as Bugsy is a real threat in this game to our Nuzlocke, locking in a fire type this early on seemed like the best idea, but first we also need something to hit Falkner's flying type Pokemon. One Pokemon that can potentially help us with that is Eevee that Cynthia gives us in front of Mr. Pokemon's house that we name Crunchwrap. We have the ability to evolve it to whatever we want to pretty soon, but first we have to go back to the lab again and fight our real rival, Chipotle. I couldn't think of a better rival to go with our Taco Bell menu item theme name, and while in New Barktown we can also fish for another encounter here in a shelter that can be helpful against Falkner. Then on Route 46 we get not only a Pokemon that can help us against Falkner, but probably the best Pokemon we can get on the entire route in a Shinx. This sets us up perfectly for the first two gyms, and we still have a few more encounters to get along the way. In Cherry Grove City we fish up a Krabby, a nice strong Pokemon that can support our team, as Krabby is deceptively strong and Kingler isn't a bad Pokemon at all. This Krabby does a lot more damage to us than I thought it would do, and our Pokeballs miss, so I just decided to run away from this encounter.
Krabby is so strong. See, I wouldn't have leveled up to 10 already by now though. That's the thing, like I wouldn't have known it was half the run. Can't escape.
Alright chat, I'll see you for attempt 4 on another day. Chapter 2, Redemption. Now that we're on our 4th attempt, we learned a good bit about this game and can finally get a good run strung together. I also wanted to mention that at this point, I wasn't looking at any docs to tell me what Pokemon each trainer had or anything like that. I wasn't running damage calculations either, and I was just looking at the level caps to make sure we don't get over leveled. And I understand that this isn't the most optimal way to play through a hardcore Nuzlocke, but I wanted to focus more on the fun of the game and see how far we can get without a calculator just telling me what to do. I picked Cyndaquil again, of course, get our Eevee, and this time we find a Starly named Chalupa, a Magikarp named Diablo Sauce, a Corphish named Belgrande, a Weedle named Cheesy Rollup, and a Phanpy named Quesadilla. Not bad, but not as good as our last attempt with the Shinx. We also get Glenn the Bellsprout, named after Taco Bell's founder, Glenn Bell, double stack Taco the Teddiursa, and pick up a Kanto starter in Bulbasaur named Fiesta Tater. I didn't mean to pick Bulbasaur as I wanted Charmander to have another out to Bugsy later on, but I mashed A too quickly when talking to this guy and got stuck with Bulbasaur, which later on helps us out more than I ever thought it could. We get a couple of more encounters after reaching Violet City, which are strong, like, wait, no, not this one, but this one in the Ruins of Alph. Baja Blast the Dratini is an amazing encounter as Dragon-type Pokemon don't have too many weaknesses, especially early on in Pokemon games, at least they normally don't. Other encounters before Falkner include 5-layered Burrito the Staryu and Nugget the Pidgey in the Sprout Tower, which we get through in just 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Cyndaquil evolves into Quilava, Starly into Staravia, and as a reward for clearing out the Sprout Tower, we get to pick an item to evolve our Eevee into any evolution we want, so I decided to evolve into Glaceon since chat told me it was the best one in the game. It didn't learn an ice move for Falkner though, but its defense should be strong enough. While devising a plan for Falkner, I realized Phanpy with Rollout matches up pretty well here. Dratini has Dragon Rage as a backup option as well, as Falkner leads with Doduo and gets a critical hit Aerial Ace on our Phanpy as we just go for a defense curl. This makes us take more damage early on than I wanted to, and it forces us to roll out early, which does get through Doduo, but we're locked into rollouts with only 11 HP remaining. We somehow outspeed the Swablu and one-shot with rollout, leaving just 4 Pokemon left. In comes Murkrow, and unfortunately it's faster than Phanpy, but we somehow live a hit with only 1 HP and one-shot the Murkrow. This Phanpy is putting in the absolute work, but it is so locked in that if it tries to roll out for a 5th time, it'll just fall to Chatot. In comes the Chatot. I am hoping that Phanpy will not stay locked in, but unfortunately it stays locked in and gets hit by a Chatter, and that's our first oof of the run, but it at least took down half of Falkner's intrepid team. Quesadilla, you will always be remembered. From here I go into Baja Blast to Dragon Rage to take over half damage from Chatot before knocking it out. On Farfetch I go right to Staravia to intimidate it, and Chat also let me know that this Farfetch in this game is part fighting type, so I go for Wing Attack to knock it out for super effective damage. All that leaves now is Falkner's ace Pokemon, Pidgeotto, which takes a Wing Attack pretty well from Staravia. We have to switch to Glaceon next to chip away at Pidgeotto before going into Teddiursa, which still doesn't take out Pidgeotto, so I go back into Staravia predicting Roost, but instead we take an Aerial Ace and live with just 3 HP. But Staravia also has Quick Attack to finish off Falkner for our very first gym badge. We still have quite a long road ahead of us before we reach red at the top of Mount Silver, but a pace of 1 oof per badge is pretty good. Along the way to Bugsy's gym we get a Zubat named Cinnamon Twist and an Ekans named Empanada. In the well, I accidentally knocked out our Ghastly encounter, which would have been a great Pokemon to have later on, but at least in Azalea Town we can also get a Hoenn starter Pokemon, and this time I pick Mudkip named Gatorade. Getting low on Taco Bell themed nicknames already, but with Team Rocket out of the way we can finally take on Bugsy, the biggest roadblock of my Sacred Gold adventure thus far. Part of why Bugsy is so difficult is because the trainers in his gym, especially the double battle twins at the end. These twins are no joke. They lead with a Volbeat and Illumise on our 2 birds, and Illumise Thundershocks Pidgeotto. It does less than half, but paralyzes Pidgeotto, then Volbeat gets a critical hit to knock out Pidgeotto right off the rip. This puts us in a pretty bad spot, but at least Dratini resists electric type moves and can just go for Dragon Rage, which always does 40 points of damage. We take out Illumise, but Staravia got double targeted, causing us to lose both of our birds in the bug type gym. I don't even understand how that's possible, but at least Quilava can handle the rest of their bugs. That just leaves the gym leader Bugsy now, who leads with a Butterfree. It should be no problem for Doritos Locos Taco the Quilava, so I go for Flame Wheel, and Butterfree barely lives. We take an Air Cutter pretty decently, and Bugsy gives his Butterfree some milk. The milk was no use though, since Quilava's faster and just knocks out in 2 more turns, as we take no more damage from the Butterfree. This then levels up Quilava to 22, which could help a little bit later as Yanma comes in. Yanma gets Ancient Power, which is terrifying, and I don't think Quilava is going to be faster than a Yanma. I decided to just risk it and go for Flame Wheel, and look at that. Bugsy barely lives again, and we somehow outsped Yanma. It goes for Ancient Power, which doesn't do as much damage as I thought, and also doesn't get the boost to all of its stats. We're still faster than it, so I go for Flame Wheel to take out Yanma. On Heracross, I have no idea what it has, so I go to Marshtomp and take an Aerial Ace. It then goes for Bug Bite, which does a decent bit of damage, as I Mudshot it to lower its speed. I go for it a second time to lower its speed even more and live with only 5 HP remaining, risking a critical hit that could have knocked out our Marshtomp. I switch to Zubat to tank a Bug Bite and Wing Attack, but would you look at that, it lives with 1 HP again. These damage rolls are really not in our favor. Turns out Heracross also doesn't have a Rock type move like I thought it might, so Zubat can just take it out on the following turn. For Scyther, I say in thinking Zubat can live, and Zubat doesn't live. At this point, I'm already getting flashbacks to the first couple of runs where Bugsy just completely destroyed our team, but I don't want to go out like this. I go into Dratini and Thunder Wave the Scyther to slow it down. It gets fully paralyzed and goes into the yellow zone after a single Dragon Rage. This causes Scyther to use its Citrus Spray to heal some health off, as Bugsy goes for Wing Attack. We have full health on Dratini, so we should be okay, but I was so wrong. Even without a critical hit, the Scyther one-shots Dratini, forcing us to go into Quilava and finish it off with a Flame Wheel. On Pinsir, I just Flame Wheel, hoping it'll knock out, but it wasn't even close, and down goes Quilava to a Vital Throw. I send out Glaceon next here and get a Bite Flinch, which is pretty funny, then tank a Vital Throw to knock out on the next couple of turns. On his last Pokemon in Beedrill, I go for 2 bites and live with only 6 HP as Beedrill is still alive. Beedrill's not in the red zone after those 2 bites, but it's still pretty low and a pretty frail Pokemon, so I risk and go for Quick Attack and finally get through Bugsy by knocking out his last Pokemon. Chapter 3, Over the Hump. 6 oofs is a lot already, and after laying our soldiers to rest, we immediately begin to prepare for another rival fight. At this point, I decided to take a peek at the dock to see what our rival has. This rival fight is notorious for being one of the most difficult ones in the vanilla Pokemon game, so I don't expect this one to be much different. I learned that he leads with a Murkrow, and our team doesn't have too much of an answer for it, so I lead with Glaceon just to take hits. It does decent damage to him, but then we have to switch. I go to switch out, and this happens. What's up, Duck? How's it going? Oh my gosh, it has Pursuit. We did not play around Pursuit. I somehow forgot it had Pursuit, even though I was looking at his team on the document on my other monitor, which caused Glaceon to fall for our 7th oof of the run. Luckily, Corphish is pretty strong, not as strong as that Krabby that caused the last run to end, but Corphish along with Teddiursa clutch up, making the rest of the rival fight pretty easy once getting through that Murkrow. Then, in the Elex Forest, we get a Beautyfly named Queso, and find the odd keystone we can use to get Spiritomb and reincarnate the Crunchwrap name for it. Crunchwrap is reserved for one of the best Pokemon, and trust me, this Spiritomb doesn't disappoint. Right outside Goldenrod City, we catch a Gulpin named Beef Nacho, and once in Goldenrod, we see one of the changes Drowno made here by adding a fossil research lab. We have access to all of the fossils, but to make things fair, only allow us to use one as per the Nuzlocke rules, which I let the Twitch chat pick, and the one they picked was Kabuto. I don't think I'll use it too much, and I gave it a throwaway nickname of Cup of Water. There's still a lot to do in Goldenrod though, like steal this guy's bird Pokemon and get a Sinnoh starter, this time in a Chimchar named Fire Sauce. This will be perfect for Whitney's gym once we evolve it and teach it Focus Blast. This duo of Spiritomb and Monferno should be amazing for Whitney's gym, right?
I'm staying in. I shouldn't have stayed in.
Okay, maybe not Monferno, but at least Spiritomb is still holding its own. Now, for Whitney. Our Ekans evolve into Arbok so we can lead with it to intimidate her lead Lickitung. I then go into Marshtomp and learn the hard way that Lickitung has Power Whip. The funny thing is, if I didn't go for Bod, we probably would have been fine, but instead we lose to Marshtomp. And again, yes, that's another mistake I made while having the document up and I was able to see her entire team. I just switched to Gyarados to intimidate and get the knockout with Dragon Rage. On Clefable, I go into Ivysaur and take a Charge Beam, which increases Clefable's special attack, and then she sets up Reflect. After that, she attracts us and we trade blows for a few turns until Clefable falls. In comes Lopunny and I stay in and go for Leech Seed.
There's no way this knocks me out, right? I'll Leech Seed, actually. I'll Leech Seed. There's no shot this knocks out.
Critical hit. That's 2 Pokemon lost to Whitney already, but at least Crunchwrap can wall Lopunny. What? We have Gnosis Wigglytuff, then switch into Cup of Water to finish off the Wigglytuff. I know that Lopunny will go for Jump Kick, or at least I'm hoping that it will, so I go into Arbok, which will resist Jump Kick and Intimidate. After that, I switch to Kabuto to take a Dizzy Punch and force her to go for a Jump Kick. I then go to Gyarados to Intimidate again as it attracts us. I don't know why I didn't go to Spiritomb in hindsight, but instead we pivot and switch around a ton here and make her switch out into Miltank. Cup of Water was definitely MVP here taking Dizzy Punches, but her Miltank has Scrappy, so Spiritomb isn't the best counter for it, so instead we go for an unconventional play.
It has the Lumberry though. Okay, we baited the Lumberry. I'm gonna intimidate it. Goes for Body Slam. That pair is huge, dude. It's also decently fast. Okay, I think I have to go to Cup of Water. Hopefully, it goes for Attract. It's annoying. I think I double to Gyarados. And then I go back to Kabutops. Stop attracting me. Goes for Body Slam. 42 HP down to 37. We eat that. Another Para. We hit the Sand Attack. I'm going to be a little risky. Go back to Gyarados. Then go into Arbok. Then go into Spiritomb. It's very real chance that I die. Okay, miss the rollout. Go back to Kabuto. Goes for Body Slam. That does 4 damage. No Attract. Let's Sand Attack again. Okay. I think I just start leering now. Okay, wait, it missed. Okay, so we got 1 leer. Actually, no, I do Sand Attack. I do Sand Attack. Yeah. And we keep Sand Attacking it. Show them why they call you Crunchwrap Supreme. Miltank misses. Feint Attack lands. Not a 1-hit, though. Down goes Miltank. We still have the Stantler, though. It's not over yet, chat. The pivoting power of Cup of Water got us through Miltank and Lopunny, leaving just her Stantler. I just stayed in with Spiritomb since it can't really touch us, and after like 15 turns, we push through the Stantler to get our 3rd gym badge. Only like 15 more to go. Following the gym, we get a Water Stone to evolve Staryu into Starmie, catch a Noctowl named Diet Coke, and enter the bug catching contest, which has heavy hitters like Heracross and Scyther, but instead we just get a Kricketot. Continuing north, we catch a Sudowoodo and name it Cheesy Rollup. I kind of forgot we used that name already, but whatever, and then make it to Ecruteak City. Things are looking rather ghoulish here because we have a rival fight followed by a Ghost-type gym. On the bright side, we get an encounter in the Burn Tower, which includes some really cool Pokemon like Magby. I would love to add this to the team, but instead, this happens. And then it dies to a tackle? Are you kidding? All that for nothing. Game said I can't have any fire type Pokemon. Game said I'm already 2 fire.
Next, we fight our rival, Chipotle. In the fight against Chipotle, I lead with our new Sudowoodo on his Murkrow. We take a Nightshade and barely miss the knockout with Rock Throw. The next turn we take a Nightshade again and finish off Murkrow. Next, he sends out Elekid, which is just a baby, and babies aren't very good at fighting, so I go into Arbok to Poison Tail it just to get paralyzed by the static. I don't want to take any more risks, so I switch into Spiritomb to finish off the baby, although Spiritomb got staticked as well. Chipotle then foolishly sends out his Haunter, which falls from a Shadow Sneak from Spiritomb, then finally he sends out his Croconaw, which I intimidate with our Gyarados, and chip away at with Dragon Rage for the win. That's 0 deaths in this fight, and let's just ignore the 10 total oofs in the death counter. Right outside the tower, we find the Shadow Claw TM, which Teddiursa can learn, but since the level cap's only 29 and Teddiursa evolves at level 30, we can't evolve to Ursaring just yet for Morty's gym. I'm not really sure why I hear boss music playing in the background right now, but against Morty I devised a plan of abusing our Pokemon with Dark and Ghost type moves, so I also use Teddiursa, which is immune to Ghost. He leads with Duskull, so Arbok can Crunch it for the 2-hit knockout after taking a small hit. On Haunter, we take a Shadow Ball and knock out with Crunch, and then on Gengar, I have to switch, so I go into Spiritomb and take a Thunderbolt. It does almost half, as our Shadow Sneak does just under half too. He then puts us to sleep with Hypnosis, so I have to switch to Kabuto. I don't know if Kabuto's pivoting powers will be as good here as they were against Whitney, and it turns out they aren't, since a single Shadow Ball from Gengar just takes out Cup of Water. I send out our Teddiursa next, but he lands another Hypnosis that knocks us into the red with Thunderbolt. I just have to let this thing fall, and things aren't looking too hot for us. I go into Starmie just to hope that we can outspeed and knock out Gengar, but it doesn't, and we die to a Shadow Ball. From here on out, there isn't really much we can do, since Thunderbolt will take out Gyarados in 1 hit, and our other 2 Pokemon are super low on HP, so we fall to Morty with 16 total oofs in the run. Now, some people consider a wipe to be a loss at a Nuzlocke, but I don't like that rule since we still have Pokemon in the PC and can try again. Although if our A team fell that easily to Morty, I'm not sure that our B team can be of much help either. Chapter 4, Rising from the Ashes. We have to regroup now. Sudowoodo sat this fight out, but now in the second attempt it's the highlight of our team alongside this Gulpin we caught earlier, which I evolved into Swalot. It's my favorite Pokemon, so I know it won't fail me. Someone in chat then let me know that we could get a cast form from Bill, which isn't an amazing Pokemon, but we have 16 deaths not even halfway through the game, so we need all the Pokemon we can get. There is also another encounter we can technically get in the game corner if we get enough coins to get a prize Pokemon. The options are Smeargle, Tangela, and Porygon, with Porygon being the best of the 3. After totally winning a bunch of Voltorb flip games and definitely not cheating to get a ton of coins, I get the Porygon, name it Baja Blast, and add it to our redeem team. Next, I hatch a Togepi egg we got earlier, which I never hatched. I name it Breakfast, and I don't know why I didn't try to use this sooner since Togekiss is a fantastic Pokemon in this game. One of the best things about Sacred Gold are all the small changes and additions Giuliano added, like this Rotom you can catch in your TV at home. I didn't know about this until chat let me know at this point of the game, but having a Rotom is huge. I name it Cherry Coke, and in this game we can change its form in the Goldenrod City department store, so I make it a Rotom Heat so we can use it to cook Morty. Rotom has Ominous Wind, and after about an hour I assemble a team of Cherry Coke the Rotom Heat, Breakfast the Togekiss, Beef Nachos the Swalot, Cheesy Roll Up the Sudowoodo, Diet Coke the Noctowl, and Baja Blast the Porygon. Now, back to Morty for Redemption. Rotom is a great lead here with Ominous Wind, and I just knew we would get the Ominous Wind stat boost here, and I spoke into existence since that's exactly what happens on the second Ominous Wind as we knock out his lead Duskull. The battle couldn't have gone any better, especially compared to the first try. Now we can get out of this town and head to Olivine City, where we find an Elekid named Cheese and a Raticate named Taco. Once in Olivine City, I noticed we can trade an Electabuzz for a Skarmory. We just caught an Elekid, so I evolve it, then trade it for this Skarmory, which will help us against some of the upcoming gym leaders. I also decided to add Corphish back to the team and evolve it into Crawdon, so we have a water type to use Surf, clear out the lighthouse, and then surf on over to Signwood City. For some reason, I completely forgot that we could get encounters on the water on the way here, so I accidentally ran from these 2 possible encounters, but at least in Signwood we can get a gift Shuckle to add to our team, as well as this gift Pikachu with Surf and Fly. I use this Pikachu in battle and immediately have a close call against a Gyarados, so maybe we should be a bit more safe, go back to Goldenrod City and get a Thunderstone to evolve this into Raichu. I went to the name writer here too to change Raichu's name to just Tomato, really running out of Taco Bell menu item names here, then prepare for Chuck's fighting type gym. I give a choice band to Skarmory to hit hard with flying type moves, then use regular Rotom to be immune to his fighting attacks and bring Shuckle just to tank a hit if we need to, and uses a potential pivot like Cup of Water, which I miss so dearly. I decide to just leave with Rotom on Primate since he can't really hit it too hard and we can Will-O-Wisp it to burn it. We're able to knock it out, and then on Poliwrath I just Will-O-Wisp it and go to Skarmory. When we get low, I finish off Poliwrath with Tomato, and thanks to our Rotom and Shuckle being a great wall, we got through Chuck in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail with no issues. Aside from the first attempt against Morty, the last 2 gyms have gone really well, making me pretty confident in the later half of this game. Chapter 5, The Battle Gauntlet. With our new shiny gym badge, we can now enter the Safari Zone. I thought this would be a walk in the park with an easy encounter, but boy was I wrong. This place was littered with Team Rocket grunts and double battles featuring some recognizable trainers like Cheryl, and I wasn't expecting that. I decided to just skip this for now since I wasn't ready to battle for 2 hours straight, so I prepared for Jasmine's gym instead. I found out that in Goldenrod we can trade our Noctowl for a Torkoal, which I do to hit Jasmine's steel type Pokemon even harder, and I also give Crawdaunt the choice band to make it even stronger than it already is. I level up to the level cap, and after doing all this prep, I try to enter the gym and notice it's blocked. I already cleared the lighthouse, delivered the medicine, and beat Chuck, so I don't know why it's locked. It turns out that we actually do have to clear out Team Rock and Safari Zone first, and now this is gonna be even harder than I thought. The reason for this is because I just leveled up all of our Pokemon to the level cap thinking we were about to fight Jasmine, so we can't use any of them against the Team Rocket fights, otherwise it'd be over leveled and unusable for the gym until the level cap is increased. We have to make a B team for the Team Rocket fights, and the pickings are looking pretty slim for this one. I ended the stream there and began the next stream a couple of days later building out our team for Team Rocket. We learned the power of Taco in the first Team Rocket fight where it just stomps all of their Pokemon. Then against Petrel, it's a single battle, so we lead with Sudowoodo on his Raticate. We have Brick Break, which is enough to 2-shot it, and then on Weezing, I pivot to Shuckle. I foolishly go for Bide, which did knock Weezing down to the red, but cost us the Shuckle. Not great, but Raticate can at least finish it off. On Skunktank, I go to Porygon since I don't want Raticate to fall from a Focus Blast, and there's a chance that Porygon can live one, and thankfully it does. We have to let it fall though, for 2 deaths to Petrel alone, bringing our total up to 18. Raichu was able to clean up the Skunk and knock out the Golbat, so now let's go back to the box and pick up some more Pokemon. Victory Bell doesn't seem terrible against Team Rocket, so I take out Bellsprout and level it up, and then I take out this Fearow because Choice Banded Fly just hits really hard. Raticate continues to dominate by shredding the double battle with Cheryl and Marley. It makes me wonder what I would have done if I never got this silly little rat. Next we have another boss single battle against Ariana. Looking at our team, I'm really gonna need Togekiss, but it's getting pretty close to level cap, which is dangerous. I leave with Togekiss anyway against her on her Arbok. Arbok was a valuable member of our team once upon a time, but for now we have to take it out. 2 extra sentries should knock it out, but Arbok is somehow faster than us and lands a Gunk Shot, which also poisons us. If she lands another hit, Togekiss is done for, so I switch into Sudowoodo. She switches as well, which was a surprise, and goes into Honchkrow. I just stayed in Rock Slide, but take a Swagger. I Rock Slide again, and this time knock out the Crow. On Vileplume, I go into Beautifly to eat a hit and then knock it out with Air Cutters. On Jinx, I don't really have the best switch-in, so I just take a risk, stay in with Beautifly, and fall to a Psychic. Beautifly was an expendable Pokemon anyway, so it's not that bad, but when I have this many deaths, I really can't just afford to expend that many Pokemon. Raticate finishes off the Jinx and Arbok, finally clearing Ariana. We have almost 20 oofs now, and looking at Archer's team, we're really gonna need the Ghost-type Rotom. If it gains just 1 level, that means we can't use it for Jasmine, but without it, I don't see how we beat Archer. Right before Archer, we have another encounter that we get in a Gloom that I named Taco Salad, then head right into the fight against Archer with Riley by our side. I didn't realize this was a double battle, and I know I hyped up this battle as being really scary, but it really wasn't, and we get through this pretty easily, thanks to Riley mostly carrying us, although Rotom did level up once, meaning we can't use it against Jasmine now. We still lost 3 Pokemon in this whole ordeal, which could have been worse, but before leaving we get another encounter in a Wingull named Mild Sauce. Now that we can actually fight Jasmine, I reworked the team a bit to include Raticate in our new Gloom, which is now a Vileplume. I lead with Raticate on Jasmine's Matang, which does knock out with Fire Fang and we get the burn. Having the Hustle ability is really scary since we could easily just miss a hit, but so far Raticate has been landing everything. Okay. Jasmine then heals, allowing us to go into Crawdaunt to be immune to Psychic, then into Pelipper to be immune to her Earthquake, slowly whittling down Matang's health from the burn. On her Magneton, we can use Vileplume to Drain Punch it a couple of times, then Raichu to finish off her Skarmory. On Steelix, I take it out with Pelipper, and then on her Fortress, I stay in and surf it a couple of times for the knockout. All that leaves now is her Bronzong, which foolishly sets up the rain, so we can go into our Crawdaunt and Crab Hammer away at it really hard in the rain for the victory. That's another Deathless Gym Leader, so hopefully that streak continues. We can take a small break from the intense battles for now and head towards Mahogany Town. On the way, we catch Mango Brisk the Goldeen, then a Golbat, which is the third incarnation of Crunchwrap and will be the last one, I promise. There aren't too many trainers we have to fight here, but a ton of wild Pokemon like this Sea King.
Dude, why did the levels crank by 10 over here? I like barely moved. Bro, just let me run. Just let me run. I don't want to talk about it, chat.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Losing a Pokemon to a wild Pokemon, especially this late in the game, isn't very pro-Nuzlocke of me, but it's fine. We made it this far, and Raichu isn't going to make or break that. Although, not gonna lie, I would really like to have it since we have no other electric types. North of Mahogany, we can get another great encounter to make up for it, like Chicken Flatbread the Curlia and the shiny Gyarados named Doritos Locos Taco. I know this is sort of duped since we had a Gyarados earlier on that fell, but it is a shiny, so I guess we can invoke the shiny claws or whatever. We need all the Pokemon we can get, so I'll take it. Chapter 6, Flying Too Close to the Sun. In preparation for the Team Rocket hideout, I evolve Curly into Gardevoir, pick up Rotom out of the PC, and head on in. Raticate, Gardevoir, Rotom, and Gyarados really hold it down here, being the best 4 Pokemon of this entire run. Even Skarmory and Vileplume had their moments down here, where we had a close call with a Shadow Tag Wobbuffet. If I had any other Pokemon in the lead besides Rotom here, something probably would have died. Before we fight Petrel, I deposit Vileplume for our trusty Sudowoodo again, mainly for his Murkrow, and it's also one of the oldest Pokemon we've had in our rotation. For the fight against Petrel, I lead with Rotom Heat on his Skuntank. I burn him with Will-O-Wisp and take it out with 2 Thunderbolts. On Toxicroak, I go into Skarmory and knock it out with 2 Drill Pecks. Skarmory got pretty low from it though, so on Weezing I go into Sudowoodo to take a Thunder. It does over half, so I need to switch again, so I go into Gardevoir. It lives with over half but gets paralyzed, basically making Gardevoir useless for the rest of the fight. It's still able to take out the Weezing though. In comes Crobat, so I go into Skarmory to take a U-turn and then go into Raticate. I was expecting a Fire Fang or Thunder Fang, but according to the doc, he has neither, so I stay in, and we just fall from a double edge. Gyarados is able to revenge kill with Aqua Tail, just leaving his Crobat now. Our team is pretty low, so I stay in an Aqua Tail after taking a hit. It of course misses the knockout, so I go into Sudowoodo, take a crit, and then get hit by a track just to miss the knockout again as Sudowoodo falls to only 8 HP. I am forced to let our longest standing soldier in Sudowoodo go down here just so we can go into Raticate after to finish it off. 22 oops, and honestly, we've never looked better. If it's any consolation, Lance carried the double battle against Ariana with his Aerodactyl. Then for the Electros that we have to fight, I just use throwaway Pokemon like Kricketune and Beedrill to take them out. I don't want to lose any of our main Pokemon to an explosion, and somehow Kricketune lived one of the explosions but fall to a later Electrode for our 23rd oof of the run, and although it was only used to fight against some non-NPC controlled Pokemon, this Kricketune will forever be remembered. Now we can prepare for Pryce to get our 7th gym badge. Rotom is overleveled again, so we can't use it here. I come up with a strategy of using Raticate with Fire Fang, then possibly Cast Form to set up the Sun to make Fire Fang hit even harder. I spent quite a bit of time planning for this, and I just can't figure out a way to beat his Mamoswine. I then remember that after meeting Riley, he gave us an egg. I go to hatch it, and surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, it's a Riolu that we named Baja Blast. I level it up and evolve it, and think it could be a pretty useful Pokemon against Pryce. Pelipper looks decent here as well, and we can bring back Torkoal that we got a while back to use again. Before fighting Pryce, we have to beat the gym trainers like this here.
Oh, great heavens!
That's a strong Glaceon. Okay, we know that Torkoal has really good defenses. I know I could take an Earth Power. Okay, I cannot take an Earth Power. Losing 2 of our key Pokemon, including our best answer to his Mamoswine, is pretty terrible. We're going to have to rely heavily on Raticate for this fight now, and can't miss any moves from its Hustle ability. I pick up Gardevoir from the PC to fill up the gap as well as Swalot, then head in to fight Pryce. Starting to hail. We're going to take damage every turn. I kind of forgot about that. Fire Fang. We land. It should be a 1-hit KO. Okay. It's a good start, good start. Straight to the Mamoswine. Just going for a fighting move. I could go to Beef Nacho into Pelipper, because bait the fighting move, bait the ground move. I think that's the play. Bait the fighting move. We're gonna surf. Skillfully dodge a stone edge. Roguelike Mike, I hate you. Why did you redeem go for a random? I'm gonna lose the battle because of this now. Random number, 1 to 4. Oh, we're gonna go clockwise too. Like top left move is 1, 2, 3, 4, or like, yeah, like that. It's a 4. Bottom right move. If we got Hydro Pump, that would have been huge. Or Surf rather. Still one for Stone Edge. If we had gone for Surf that turn, we would have knocked out the Mamoswine. I think I might lose the run because of that random move selection. If he clicks Ice Shard, doesn't matter if I quick attack. He's gonna be faster still. I let Pelipper fall, and then I go into Gardevoir or Eradicate. Pelipper, you could have saved this fight, but Roguelike Mike said no. I gotta go to Eradicate. On the bright side, Eradicate can potentially sweep the rest of his team. Well, maybe not the Glalie. And he goes to Glalie. Blizzard, Ice Shard, Spikes, fine. Spikes, fine. I have to Rock Smash here. 2 layers of Spikes. This is 4 times super effective. What? Rock Smash is 60 base in this game, and also Glalie's part Rock. It's gonna Explosion. It's gonna Explosion. Switches out. No, I should have went for the water move. Crab Hammer, that would have been so good. Maybe I live with Thunderbolt. Wait, why didn't I click Night Slash there? I literally have to go to Sinistwist just so I can get rid of the hail. It's gonna Shadow Ball. Please take a Shadow Ball cast form. Okay, you tank that. You tank that. Wait a minute. Sunny Day Weather Ball might just kill. I think I can take another Shadow Ball. No. Cast form. Your death will not be in vain. It landed a Blizzard. I don't think we're taking a Shadow Ball. Critical hit. The run is not over, chat. The run is not over. We still have Pokemon in the PC.
We lose that battle, and you could say the random move redemption screwed us, or maybe the lack of preparation, but either way, that's the second time we fully wiped in this run. I thought this was the end, then my good friend Zwiggo let me know that there's actually a couple of more encounters we can still get. First, there's this weasel that we fished up near New Barktown named Nacho Fries, then in the Tojo Falls we get a Slowbro named Severin Burrito, and finally in the Safari Zone we have a new area that I missed earlier and can encounter a Magnemite. This should be a great Pokemon for Pryce, and oh, look at that, it just ran away from us. Hopefully this Slowbro and Floatzel are enough, so let's regroup again with the new stars of our team. This next stream was spent mostly just preparing for Pryce again. I realized that Leftovers is an item that I would really like to use here for Slowbro, but unfortunately we can't find one until Kanto. We can, however, steal some Leftovers though by teaching Thief to our Fearow, then running into some wild Munchlaxes and using Thief to take their Leftovers. I do this, take 4 Leftovers, level up an evolved Weasel into Floatzel, take out Togekiss from the PC and give a Flamethrower and the Charcoal Held item, and then teach Slowbro Calm Mind as well as Flamethrower to try to stab on Pryce, since we also have Psychic and Slack Off if we need on top of the Leftovers item. I figure this is about as good as a team we can craft up, so I head into the gym and leave with our Togekiss on Pryce's Abomasnow. A charcoal boosted Flamethrower is enough to one-shot it for a great start. Next he goes into Glalie, so I send out Slowbro and set up Calm Minds on it. Glalie hails, then freezes us with Blizzard while we were setting up. I just ride it out until we thaw out, set up some more, and knock out the Glalie with a Surf. On Frostlass, we can eat a Shadow Ball, then knock out in one hit with a Flamethrower. Lappers then Perish Songs us and paralyzes with Body Slam, but we still get through it. On Mamoswine, we have to switch because of the Perish Song, so I go into Jump Love expecting an Earthquake. I caught this thing so long ago, and this is the first time that I'm using it. I thought if we could land a Sleep Powder would be good, since we have the Wide Lens to also increase the chances of the Sleep Powder hitting. That is, if Pryce didn't go for Ice Shard and just one-hit KO Jump Love. That's oof number 33, so I go into Gyarados to Intimidate and hopefully get the knockout with Aqua Tail. Mamoswine has a white herb, so Intimidate does nothing, but we still have to stay in. He goes for Stone Edge, which we miraculously live, and land an Aqua Tail, which gets a critical hit and knocks out Mamoswine. That crit probably mattered, but it was Pryce's biggest threat, so we'll take it. Last up is his Dugong, which has Rest and Chesterberry to heal. I switch into Floatzel, which misses the knockout with Brick Break and then falls to Dugong. Dugong is so low though that Beedrill can come in and finish off with a Poison Jab for our 7th gym badge. Chapter 7, Trial by Fire. As we exit the gym, we get a call from the professor telling us we have to clear out Team Rocket in Goldenrod City. With the increased level cap, we can use Rotom again, and we can evolve our Golbat into Crobat, which will help us out a ton. I spent a lot of time prepping for the Team Rocket radio tower fights, which are much harder than they are in the vanilla games, and even featured Giovanni towards the end, which is absent from the vanilla games entirely. Beedrill was the unsung hero, taking out grunts left and right until we reached this one grunt with a Swalot. It was setting up stockpiles, which was pretty annoying, so going to Gyarados to intimidate it just to get taken out by a spit up critical hit. That's 35 oofs and a total of 8 Pokemon remaining at our disposal. I add Vileplume to the team and continue along to fight Petrel. I don't want to spend too much time on this fight since everything went according to plan, for once. We matched up pretty well against Petrel and get through him with no deaths or no trouble really, making me that much more confident for the rest of this run. We have a small break from the Team Rocket fights now and have to fight our rival next. We managed to beat Chipotle pretty handily so far, so I expect things to go the same way this time around. I change Rotom to Rotom Ice form, then head to the underground to fight Chipotle. He leads with Honchkrow, and even though Chipotle claims to use fresh, never frozen ingredients, our refrigerator one-shots Honchkrow with Thunderbolts. I know his Magmar has nothing to hit Slowbro, so I go into it and set up Calm Minds while healing with leftovers and Slack Off when needed. After knocking out Magmar, he sends out Electabuzz. The Electabuzz Thunderwaves us, but we land the Surf and again, narrowly miss the knockout. We're at full HP now, so I feel pretty good staying in, unless Electabuzz gets a critical hit, which it did. Down goes our 7-layer burrito, but Crobat can finish off Electabuzz as going to Togekiss to yawn the Alakazam to sleep and then knock out with Shadow Ball from Rotom. On his Gengar, I make a huge mistake by going to Vileplume, just to have to go right back into Rotom since Vileplume couldn't take hits as well as I thought. Shadow Ball doesn't knock out Gengar, so I have to switch around a bit and bait out Thunders, but that mistake I made earlier by switching into Vileplume ultimately causes its demise as it goes down to a critical hit. Beedrill's able to finish off the Gengar, leaving just for Alligator though. We don't have a safe switch in, so I stayed in with Beedrill, click Poison Jab, and just pray. It does way less damage than I thought, but at least gets the poison. For Alligator then goes for Ice Fang, lands, and finishes off our trusty Beedrill. This at least allows Rotom to finish off the battle, but at the cost of some of our Pokemon, leaving us with a whopping 38 deaths and only a total of 5 Pokemon remaining, and no encounters until after we beat Team Rocket. There's a lot of grunts like this one with the Steelix. Surely a Leaf Storm from Victory Bell will knock it out though, right? That is, if we don't miss it and then get knocked out by a critical hit. I really wanted that Victory Bell for some of the later fights in this game, but if we can just get through this dumb tower, we open up a lot more encounters, so there's still hope. Then, we reach Proton. I'm not going to beat around the bush here and make this a long drawn out segment since he just completely steamrolls us. 4 Pokemon just isn't enough for fights this late in the game, so I stare into the water and sulk in our sorrows after our loss. I throw my last gold ingot into the water and out pops the Harvest Fairy, granting us 6 free revives to continue this run, and although it was enough for Proton and Ariana, we still fall to Archer. This run just wasn't it, but I still learned a lot about hardcore ROM hacks and hardcore Nuzlocke in general. From being hard stuck at Bugsy for so long to making it this far is still pretty cool. I know it's a trend that people want to be the best at these games and go through them perfectly, but I still had a lot of fun just learning and not over planning every single fight. Surely it ultimately led to me having 40 oofs and losing the run entirely, but I still had a ton of fun this way. I plan on trying a lot more hardcore ROM hacks of games like this on my Twitch channel link in the description, so be sure to check that out if you want to watch these Nuzlocke live, or just subscribe to the channel here if you want to wait for the full videos when they're done. With all that out of the way, thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see y'all next time, and bye bye.